Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time we're talking episode 13 of season 3 of The Legend of Korra called Venom of the Red Lotus. So here we have it, the big season 3 finale, and it does not disappoint. This is good stuff. It's not, not quite as epic perhaps as last season's finale, which basically kind of ended in a giant kaiju fight in Republic City Bay, but yeah, certainly still a very satisfying episode. So let's just kind of get right into things. And the first thing I noticed this episode is Zaheer flat out says what I've kind of been talking about, what's been going on here politically, that the Red Lotus are anarchists. He refers to his brothers and sisters in anarchy. And as I said, Zaheer sticks to basically the most simple, rudimentary understanding of what anarchy entails. Very much no gods, no masters is how I like to put it. Mostly because that's one of the achievements you can get in Fallout New Vegas. But here, his plan is revealed to be to kill Korra while she's in the Avatar state and thus end the Avatar cycle forever. Now, this is something that quite a few people had guessed might be his end game. And, well, frankly, yes, it does make a good deal of sense. Now, I'm sure some people are saying, well, if you get rid of the Avatar, isn't the world going to be out of balance? And Zaheer, being a student of history, would kind of see what happens if the world is out of balance. Well, part of the problem was indeed that there was no Avatar, but the major problem was that there wasn't an air nation. And the Avatar, and as we said, part of the whole thing with Avatar 1 is we've seen that the world is going to still keep on spinning if there's no Avatar. It may not be a world that we, the humans, like, but the world would continue on. Human life would continue on. But this is so far back in the past that it would basically be a time of myth and legend for Zaheer. So you get the feeling that Zaheer probably doesn't quite understand fully just what it was he would be sentencing the world to if there were no Avatar. But again, it does keep in with his thing of, as he says, a man's only allegiance would be to himself and those that he loves. The problem is that Zaheer is making this choice for others. Things like republics exist because of what they call the consent of the governed. And here, Zaheer is taking away the choices from people. Now, granted, things like the way the Earthquake was running show that the systems built by people can be flawed and ultimately lead to oppression. But as he said, he started a revolution. The people are going out there and they're sort of taking back what happens. That's what happens. If things get too bad, there's ultimately a revolution or something like that, and something new comes along to take the place of the old. And you can debate whether or not this is good. Not all revolutions are necessarily good. But again, we're getting a little too heavy-handed here. But the thing is, Zaheer is basically making a choice for everybody in the entire world in his desire to end the Avatar cycle. And simply put, he's one man. He does not have the right to make that decision for everybody. So that's the real big problem with Zaheer there. The other big problem for Zaheer is that he seriously underestimates just how powerful the Avatar state is. We've seen Korra constantly falling and smashing into rocks and stuff that really should have killed a normal person. So apparently, the Avatar state allows you to survive certain things that would kill you normally. Just perhaps not being shot through the heart with lightning, as we saw. But that was a close call. Azula's aim was just a little bit off there. But yeah, the whole thing with Korra just going berserker rage in the Avatar mode. We've seen what the Avatar mode is like when the Avatar is seriously pissed, and it is not pretty. But I think Korra has to get the most spectacular Avatar state meltdown in history award because wow, and man, was that some awesome animation just during that fight. It was stunning, and her using the whip, the chain around her arm as a whip. I mean, man, that's got to be one of the best fights they have ever done in the history of this or the previous series. I mean, that was just awesome, awesome stuff. But of course, time is really on Zaheer's side. He even points out, you can't fight me and you can't fight the poison at the same time. So it's really a case of him just simply needing to wait Korra out and let the poison do its job. And it's of all people Genora who is the one who really sort of comes in there and saves the day. Now, obviously, the other airbenders and Sue and everybody else had their hand in it, but it's Genora who kind of comes up with the solution that allows Korra to survive and everything else. And what's interesting about that is that, in a way, Korra and Zaheer are two sides of the same coin. They're both these very spiritually strong people who are obviously destined to have a very large impact on the world. Now, we've seen what Zaheer has done. Now, granted, he failed to kill Korra. That's true. He failed to end the Avatar cycle. But in a lot of other stuff, Zaheer succeeded. The Earth Queen is dead. There's just absolute chaos in the Earth Kingdom. And it looks like this, judging by the comments of the mayor, they're really concerned that this worldwide anarchy really might spread. So make no mistake, Zaheer didn't get everything that he wanted, but he got a lot of what he wanted. And, he is still alive at the end of this, so that puts him one up on pretty much all the other Avatar villains that we've seen since this show started. So it's entirely possible that they might have Henry Rollins come back as Zaheer in a future episode. The same way they had the folks who did the voice of the previous major villains come back in Korra's hallucination, which really reminds me of that, was it season 5 of Buffy, where we got to see this sort of little parade of all the big major villains in one scene. That was really great stuff. But anyway, so going back to Genora, we see Zaheer, like someone with this intense spirituality, what happens when they go the wrong path, and then we see Genora, who's that sort of person, and we see what happens when they walk the right path. And in doing that, the new Air Nation is now stronger than ever. The Airbenders are going off to sort of become, wandering good guys, helping people wherever they can, until Korra is back on her feet, and perhaps even then they'll kind of continue that. It always struck me as being very strange that the Airbenders in the old world were called the Air Nomads, since they mostly seemed to hang out at these 4 temples and didn't really seem to go anywhere else besides those places. So they were actually very sedimentaries, which again is pretty much the opposite of being a nomad. But you have to imagine like, well, perhaps they were like that at one point in their history, and then they decided to settle down, and the name just happened to stick. But anyway, definitely very satisfying to see Genora get her airbender tattoos, shave her head. As a lot of people have pointed out, you can really see the physical resemblance between her and Aang in that scene. And I gotta say, that was some beautifully animated stuff there. And I like how when Tenzin says that they're going to anoint her, they don't anoint her with oil, which is normally the thing that you do. I mean, that's what it means. It means anointing somebody with oil or sometimes water or something like that. Instead, they choose to anoint her with incense, which, they're airbenders. Of course it makes sense they would do that. And just the stuff with the chimes and all of that. I mean, just really very beautiful. And it really sells that this is a genuine, real culture with traditions and special ceremonies and rituals. And it just really lends a lot of realism to the Avatar world. Let's see. Just trying to roll through everybody. Bolin. Let's talk about him briefly. We get to see him square off against Ghazan, and even Ghazan is somewhat impressed by Bolin's lava bending abilities. But what I like about this episode is that even though Bolin puts up a good fight, he's obviously not going to be able to take Gazan on his own. I mean, remember, Bolin has at that point known how to lava bend for at most a day. It takes both Mako and Bolin to really take on Gazan. And even then, they don't really succeed so much as Gazan. It looks like he pretty much decided to bring the place down around himself and kill himself rather than go back to jail. Now, it's a little unclear about what happened to Ming Hua. Last we saw her, she was unconscious in those caves. So she might have gotten dragged off back to jail afterwards. Maybe she died down there. I mean, it's going to be a little unclear, and hopefully next season it'll be touched on about what happened to her for sure. But I don't think people should take it as any kind of knock on Bolin that Mako was able to win his fight against one of the Red Lotus and Bolin didn't. Mako won that fight in a lot of part because Ming Hua basically underestimated him. That's what really got her, is that she took him to a place where she thought, okay, there's all this water down here. Obviously, I have the advantage. But she didn't realize that in a situation like that, somebody who can lightning bend also has a very serious advantage. And again, I don't think has seen Mako lightning bend, so she probably didn't even think that he could do that. So it's really underestimating Mako that cost her the fight rather than anything Mako did, except see the rather obvious opening that she had left him. And yeah, that kind of covers what I have to say about those two. Yeah, I don't really think I have much else to say about Zaheer. And I did like that they took some time to show the mayor making amends with Korra. Obviously, we're probably going to be going back to Republic City for a while next season. And frankly, it wouldn't surprise me if they do end up sort of bouncing around the world again next season. Just as a way to kind of help actualize the change in things that's happened. But again, it's really hard to sort of kind of speculate on that at this point. And yeah, I think that kind of covers everything that I had to say about this. Oh yeah, we might want to talk a little bit more about the after effects of everything on Korra. I knew there was something that I was forgetting. But anyway, after she gets healed, I love how Korra just looks like a rag that's been wrung out. She's barely speaking to anybody, even in situations that should be really joyous, like Genora, showing off her airbending tattoos and being acknowledged as a master. She can barely, manage much more than a smile. And you have to wonder, what all did this take out of Korra spiritually? And keep in mind, she's still severed from the previous avatars. So it's really got to be heavy on her mind just how close she really did come to being the Avatar Korra, the last Avatar. And just remember the look of absolute horror on her face when Zaheer said that. So I think it was kind of a situation where at that point, yes, she realized that being cut off from her previous states was a big problem, but I don't think it had ever really dawned on her that this really could, in certain circumstances, if she's not careful, if she makes a mistake at the wrong time, it really could be the end for all avatars for all time. Now, presumably, Korra would have realized, okay, the past is gone, but when it's my time, whoever the next avatar is should be able to contact me. So while a lot would be lost, eventually the avatar cycle and being able to contact previous avatars for guidance could be reestablished, rebuilt from the ground up. But again, if Korra dies while she's in the avatar state, so this just really adds even more to the burden of being the avatar for her than had previously even been there. There had already been a lot. And Korra's had an awful lot dumped on her. Aang really did have just the one major mission during his previous series. Korra's, for Korra, it's every time she turns around, it's something else. And keep in mind, there's Red Lotus guys are still out there. The Earth Kingdom is in complete and utter chaos. Spirits are still causing trouble all over Republic City. So while Korra has certainly had her victories, more than Aang really, she's had her losses. And the ramifications of those losses have had serious and long-lasting impact on the world. So, the mantle of being the Avatar has to weigh heavier than ever on Korra at this point. But, this is Korra we're talking about, so have no fear, she will bounce back. It's just, well, this is kind of her, like look at the Marvel movies. It always seems to be, in the third movie, the hero is really wrung out, and they only sort of bounce back at the very end to save the day. Well, here Korra did manage to save the day, but she's still pretty wrung out. So let's think of it that way. Anyway, I think I'm kind of starting to repeat myself a little bit, so let's wrap things up here. Of course, I will be reviewing Season 4 when it comes out. Very excited to do that. And also very excited to get back to reviewing Doctor Who tomorrow. So, yeah. Lots of new TV shows are going to be, exciting new TV shows are going to be coming back. Lots more reviews coming out from me in the next several months. And I hope you guys will stick with me for those reviews. Also, if I haven't mentioned it here before, I'm also going to be stepping up the live tweeting of various shows. I'm not going to be able to review every single show that I want to. I'm going to be watching this fall. I'm just not going to have the time, but I am going to try and make up for that by doing more live tweets. Probably going to be doing that for shows like Constantine and Sleepy Hollow. Constantine for sure, Sleepy Hollow is a maybe, and I might add Agent Carter to the list. I haven't decided if I'm going to be doing that live tweets or reviews for that one. But anyway, guys, I again hope you will stick around for my reviews and tweets. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. And until next time, take care and have a good one.